So now we got the finance in place. Only now do we plan to step number six, attend the auction. Now, what tips and tricks can you give us there? I heard some weird stuff like bidding off the chandelier, and there's some real kind of strange notions. Every industry has got its own kind of terminology, so auction rooms are not any different. Can you help us a little bit with, in the auction room, what is now tips and
Yeah,
tricks?
I mean, I think a lot of people think there's a bit of smoke and mirrors going on, really. But it all goes back to and when I explain it to people actually realise it actually makes a lot of sense. The auctioneer cannot sell a property below the reserve price because the vendor has said that, no way, I'm not selling this property for less than 100,000. So if the auctioneer starts the bidding, someone starts the bidding at 80, and he wants to liven it up a little bit, and no one is bidding 85, he can make up a bid.
It's true. So he would just say 85.
Yeah, and this is where the expression comes from. He might point to the chandelier or the
Yeah.
wall and say, "Oh, 85. Do I have 90 from you, sir?"
Okay.
And the
This is
real
how the
bidder,
creative interest.
yes.
Okay.
And the real bidder might bid 90, and then he might make up another bid over there. Now you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to make up bids up to the reserve price. It is perfectly legal.
So after that, he cannot.
After that, you cannot.
Wow.
Because in any case, you're not allowed to sell below the reserve price. So it makes no
so
difference.
that makes no difference because
Yeah.
it would never go to sale.
Yes, there's some telltale signs, because sometimes what happens is you might be the real bidder and you start the bidding at 90, and then someone else is doing an off-the-wall bid, 95 from there.
It gives you an indication where the reserve lies.
Yes.
Ah,
And then
clever.
if no one counterbids, then the auctioneer is left in this no man's land situation where he's just sold it to the chandelier.
Yeah. So what does he do
It
then?
normally says
So
something like,
withdrawn.
"I'm afraid I'm not be able to sell it for that. Come and see," and points to the real bidder and says, "Come and see me afterwards."
Interesting.
And you see that happen a little bit. But these are all. I mean, a lot of people are under the impression that there is a bit of smoke and mirrors going on, but there isn't. I've been looking at auctions now for 20 years, and I haven't seen anything. I mean, it's a very transparent environment.
So now we've been through the whole 6 steps, all the way from panning for gold, which you've given us some really great strategies for, then some quick tips on survey and inspecting, legal maze, determining the maximum bid, then financing, which is really obviously key, and then attending the auction. Can you give me an idea on the numbers? When you end up with one property, how do you have to start? How many do you have to sift through to end up with?
That's
with one?
good question. I mean, of course, we haven't really done those 6 steps justice, because each one covers multiple different avenues and checklists and forms and templates to guide people sort of through all of that. But generally, what I find is that if I'm looking in a catalogue or a bunch of catalogues, and I find about 25 lots that I'm vaguely interested in, that from the description roughly match my criteria, out of those 25, I will end up going to look at roughly about 12 of them. So my due diligence will filter that down to about 12. So I've got a certain amount of due diligence and filtering to get to the 25. I'd go and see 12. I will bid for about 8.
Wow.
And I will get 1.
That seems a lot of bidding. So you bid on 8 properties.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it safeguards you against being attached to the one deal you really want. Yeah.
Well, there are a couple of things in there. Firstly, that all the checklists and work help you pan for the gold, so that you don't go out, get in the car, and go and visit properties just for the sake of it.
So you don't waste time.
No, if you're going to see a property, it's because there's something there, and the visit is just to verify that, So that is why out of the 12 that I go and see, you end up bidding on a high proportion of those. And you let your spreadsheet do the talking. So you set maximum prices, and if you're bidding for multiple properties, then you're less emotionally attached. When I go to an auction, I like to bid for several properties up to my maximum bid price.
You don't care which one you get.
Whichever one I go home with, that's fine.
They all fit your criteria.
Because they're all good at the price I've set.
And we learned this great bidding strategy you mentioned, to have like odd numbers, so people who set straight limits, you might just be above that.
Because remember, on those 8 properties that you're going to bid for, you will be up against amateurs who don't know a lot of this stuff and who will overbid, and you don't want to compete with those guys.
Makes sense.
You will be up against, on some lots, you will be up against some owner-occupiers. And remember, If someone wants a property for themselves to live in, they only have to get a 5% discount to market value for it to be a good deal. That's not acceptable for you as an investor. So you don't want to compete with those guys. So you've got to bid for a number of properties. And remember, all of these properties in this catalogue are worth something at a price.
That's true. This is how most of them in the end are sold, but not many fit your criteria.
But what is the price?
Yeah.
What is the maximum price you're going to pay? So if you have that attitude to setting the price, you can bid for 8. And then it's very easy to stick to your limit because you haven't traipsed in the auction room just for one lot, and then get a lot of emotional attachment to it, and there's not much chance of getting carried away with the bidding.